Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. Taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following today. We've been covering all the issues with the Postal Service, and many folks in our area, of course, unfortunately dealing with late mail deliveries and the like. Well, state representatives are in Palmetto. They're touring the troubled USPS distribution center today. The Postmaster General said last month that the problem should be fixed by summer here at this sprawling new facility on the south side. Well, today we're getting an update from members of Congress who are touring the place.
We had great conversation with the leadership in there today, just a little while ago. They are very convinced that within the next 6 to 8 weeks that first class mail delivery will be back to on time at the same percentages that it was prior to the changes.
Yeah, so promising changes happening at the new facility. Representatives at the center right now as they monitor constant package delays across the state. You may remember last month that the Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, was grilled during a hearing in Washington, D.C., with senators demanding to know why big rigs were sometimes waiting all day at the Palmetto facility just to pick up mail, and why people at home were not getting their vital supplies delivered to them. The state leaders say changes are already being made to get packages to you and to everyone else in a timely manner. We're going to keep following the latest there. Okay, let's talk about this busy intersection in Midtown that is closed for the week. Certainly a big headache for drivers in Midtown. Again, it's a super busy intersection. It's closed to both cars and to people for the entire week, and this is all in an effort to make safety improvements to the Beltline. Atlanta News First, Don Shipman is at the intersection of 10th and Monroe Drive near Piedmont Park. Construction crews have been racing really to get this work done.
A well-traveled intersection, usually jammed with cars and pedestrians, now brimming with heavy equipment and construction workers.
And Atlanta is still trying to make the transition to be pedestrian friendly.
10th Street at Monroe Drive, fenced off, detour signs posted, while crews with Atlanta DOT work to install much-needed safety upgrades.
We know it's going to take about a week or so for this to happen, and we just are asking everybody to be patient.
We were like just walking here with all the dust in our eyes. I hate it, but at the same time, I know it's like just for a while.
One of the key upgrades they're going to be working on is installing a raised crosswalk. It's going to look just like this one right here. The goal of this project is to give drivers a clear indication as to where the crosswalk is located, at the same time keeping pedestrians safe as they navigate the Beltline. And all of this work is being done in anticipation of this section of the Beltline opening in the late fall. This section goes right behind Piedmont Park and will link to Ansley.
Very easy to get across, and we're going to have, I love the fact that there's pedestrian sort of traffic lights.
So you can walk to Kroger Market and then do your grocery shop and then going back.
For pedestrians, the detour is easy. Just follow the signs through the cordoned-off crosswalk. For cars, you'll use Cayuga Street to Virginia Avenue and Charles Allen Drive to 8th Street. Happening now through Friday.
Thanks so much to Don Shipman for that report. Okay, want to let you know about some very prominent visitors, some VIPs here in Atlanta today. So the King and the Queen of the Netherlands are actually here, kind of on a whirlwind tour of our city and state. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm is at the state capitol, and the governor was among the first to greet the royal couple.
King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands arrived at the Georgia Capitol to a warm welcome by Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp.
This is very exciting. I see this trip as a highlight of my career.
Jacob Veerman is the Consul General of the Netherlands here in Atlanta. He says the royal trip could lead to more investments in Georgia by Dutch companies and more investments in the Netherlands by Georgia companies.
What I think, and I speak from my heart, is that Georgia is very inclusive.
Veerman says a goal of his is to support black businesses and show them the opportunities in the Netherlands.
The other thing is also the link from slavery past to segregation and now to the inclusive community Georgia is.
so much to Rebecca for that report. Okay, let's talk about this conference that drew more than 1,000 women and girls to Atlanta over the weekend. And it's the Black Girls Dream Conference. They got to hear from a very special speaker, Dr. Bernice King. And this conference was so popular, actually, it was sold out a month in advance. Atlanta News First Blake Devine was there and has more from the King Center.
The 4th annual Black Girls Dream Conference was underway this weekend at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. Malika Berry Rogers organized the two-day event.
We are Southern Black girls. That isn't our name. We don't shy away from who we are and how we look. It is our asset. It is everything that we bring here.
Tonight, they heard from a special speaker, Dr. Bernice King.
I see myself as a person that has to set an example for a world where there are very few examples of what it means to be a dignified person.
Speaking in front of thousands, King shared some valuable lessons.
I'm obviously a student of my father's nonviolence. And people think nonviolence is a physical thing, but it's a spiritual thing. It's your mindset.
This annual event gathered girls 12 and up from organizations across the South, including Janelle Floyd, who flew in from Florida.
It's always nice to be around other successful Black women who have no problem unapologetically being themselves, which in turn inspires us all.
The sold-out conference aimed to inspire and empower Black women of all ages.
We are trying to pave a pathway so that they know that they're not dependent on anyone else but their own spirit and imagination and their own dreams.
Blake Devine with that report. Okay, I want to get to an investigation that we have been working on. So a Georgia nurse is now accused of stealing pain medication from residents at an assisted living facility. Terry Howell, a nurse at that facility, is charged with multiple counts of cruelty and obtaining a controlled substance by deception. Adam Murphy was in Suwanee with this Atlanta News First exclusive.
When they can't remember her name, I say Marilyn, like Marilyn Monroe, because everybody always says how pretty she is and always put together.
The love Brent Deitch has for his 89-year-old mother, Marilyn, is a thing of beauty. So you can only imagine how he must have felt when he learned that she was being taken advantage of.
We definitely felt violated.
Not only did Marilyn suffer a stroke, but she also had to have a hip replacement and was living at the Oaks at Suwanee Creek in Gwinnett County when she realized some of her pain medication went missing.
It was oxycodone, and I'm not sure of the strength, but she had had a hip replacement back in October of 22.
It turns out she wasn't the only one complaining of missing medication. The Suwanee Police Department launched an investigation and arrested Terry Howell, a nurse at the facility, and charged her with multiple counts of cruelty and obtaining a controlled substance by deception.
I do know that I had a resident who would constantly tell me, my painkillers aren't working. They're just not working for me.
According to a Suwanee police press release, detectives determined that 886 prescription pills were stolen from 5 different seniors living at the facility. Atlanta News First contacted the corporate office for the Oaks at Suwanee Creek, and they said upon learning of the incident, they immediately placed Terry Howell on administrative leave and then fired her. They went on to say they are deeply concerned by the allegations, and the well-being of their residents is their utmost priority. They went on to say, quote, "We have stringent protocols and training programs in place to safeguard our residents, and we will be reinforcing these measures in light of this event," end quote.
When you hear a story like this and realize how they're taken advantage of, it's like they have, no one to advocate for them. They didn't even know that they were missing out on their medications.
Adam Murphy with that report. Okay, let's talk about Pride Month. And it is upon us. Atlanta News First reporter Sawyer Bussey actually spoke with several local drag queens about Atlanta's rich drag history this Pride Month.
If you are performing in drag, you are making a statement.
What is drag? It's magical.
Telling the world you are here.
If you're sitting there at the bar and you're just kind of bored, or you're at the club and you're just kind of bored and you see like a fabulous drag queen walk in, that is like, it's probably very exciting for some people who don't get to necessarily live their most authentic lives.
telling the world you are unapologetically here.
Anybody who's not just queer but a marginalized community can understand what it means to not be part of the status quo.
That's what two queens I spoke with told me about their journeys with drag. Brigitte Bidet, a well-known queen and MC with 12 years in the drag world, and Phoenix, a well-known queen, host, and director with 20-plus years in the drag world. Atlanta has a rich history of drag, dating back decades. Each queen adding a new chapter to our community story.
Atlanta has always been one of the meccas of drag. You know, it's produced some of the biggest people, RuPaul, Lady Bunny. Back in the day, you know, Atlanta was where everyone wanted to come to.
Because it's just like, it's so inspiring to me because these people like had to do drag because it was like calling them. They were part of this like underground society, whereas I kind of like got into drag because I was exposed to it through popular culture, which isn't as cool in my opinion.
Queens have been dancing through highly divisive times in history for decades.
Gay pride is literally the belief that people should not be discriminated against for their sexuality.
The dance continues.
In Atlanta, Sawyer Bussey.
Atlanta News First.
And more on Atlanta's rich drag history and all of our top stories on atlantanewsfirst.com. Thanks for being with us and have a great day.